righty. Okay. So this in the course description was meant to be an advanced SmartPlans course. I know some people are like, oh, tech course. I'm just gonna go do it. But I want to teach to those of you that are here. So I'm going to be talking about a few different things. I'm going to talk about how you can integrate SmartPlans into one another. So you could build a whole system, start at once, and it just kind of runs. I'm going to talk about integrating video into SmartPlan content through email. I'm also going to be talking about it talks about in the course description, the like analytics and tracking and stuff like that. So I'll touch on that, as well as show you it's not related to SmartPlans, but it is related to tracking. If you want to know where traffic is going from and to on your website, you can set that up through command as well with Google Analytics. So you can see, okay, are people just finding me on the web, or are they getting directed from a link or a post, or and you can track that, kind of redouble your efforts where the value is coming from. So those are kind of the topics that I'm going to talk about. Are there any other topics as you're thinking about SmartPlans, advanced SmartPlans that you would like me to hit on, or should I just teach it and then? Okay. All right, we'll do that. Valerie or Lenny, same question.
Hi, Mike. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm good. Just anything I can learn from you is always wonderful.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So first thing I thought that I would do is talk about using SmartPlans to trigger other SmartPlans. And I found a great example of that, and I've put my own spin on it. And you see nobody's on it, but that's because I run things through the team and not on the personal account. I use my personal account to basically to teach from. So if you're like, oh, why is there no contacts on any of your SmartPlans? Yeah. So I will say this, that I've got 106 people on a monthly referral request SmartPlan. That's been going since October 8th of 2021. And I've gotten 4 or 5 pieces of business and that was set it and forget it. So yeah, so just sends out an email saying, yep. So, people are like, well, do they work? Well, that one's definitely worked for me.
So, Mike, you're sending those to your database, or are you sending them to other agents, or both?
That's for that one is specifically going to my sphere.
Okay, thanks.
So yeah. All right. So I'm going to touch on this idea of the 36 touch combo plan. If you read the MREA, just in Keller Williams for any amount of time, they talk about 33 touch, 36 touch. So let's talk about that. So this is the SmartPlan interface. There is something that is brand new as of 2 days ago, which I'll talk about over here in the rules. We'll talk about it now because once I click off of it. So before there was you could add the trigger tag and that was up top. And now there's this section over here called auto add / remove rules. So in order to automatically add people to this SmartPlan, let's say Arla, we could do 33 touch or sphere or, whatever the smart plan is for. Oh, it's not finding a sphere tag. There we go.
Hey, Mike, real quick, how many smart plans do you have? About?
Uh, too many. I'm not gonna ask that question because I've got so many um, that are test or I've shown something. And as far as,
I mean, for your personal business that you find useful.
yeah. So any of the Keller Williams ones, the monthly neighborhood nurture, definitely the birthday, the anniversary. There's a open house follow-up. If you do any open houses, that's a fantastic one. The new contact 8x8, some kind of brand new lead, brand new contact smart plan is always a good idea. And I've kind of been developing my ideas around this, and kind of what I've come to is that when it comes to smart plans, think, okay, what are my main lead sources for my business? And then how from that lead source am I providing value to my buyers, to my sellers, to my investors, or whatever other group makes up that. So let's say, okay, my sphere, how am I then providing value to my sphere with the people who've never bought before? How am I providing value to my sphere for the people who do own a house and maybe they're curious what their house is worth? And so I've started thinking about smart plans and kind of compartmentalizing them around where did the lead come from and what would be value to them. So as far as how many smart plans you should have, that's going to vary based on your business, where leads are coming from in your business. Another great example is, let's say you're running Facebook ads, or you're running ads through campaigns in command. Well, when that person comes in as a lead, what happens to them? Are they immediately going into a smart plan, which you can set up? Or are they coming in as a lead and you're like, where'd this person come from? Because the whole purpose of the funnel is to get them further in the system. You don't want to invert the funnel, or you're going to be really inefficient with your communication. So, all right.
Mike, that's
Yeah.
really brilliant. And two things come to my mind if I can jump in is
Yeah.
because of all the stuff that's going on. I don't know if you've watched the value thing with value too.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
watched bits and pieces when I can get people to leave me alone. Anyway, that's one of the main things that I keep hearing throughout is for us to redefine our values. So that's excellent for as you go through and define your value. How do you do a smart plan around that? And then the process idea. So those are amazing ways to think about it. Thank you.
I think
Appreciate that.
the smart plans weren't called spam plans. Like, so you want to be providing value with every single one of them.
Yeah. And the thing is, the other thing that's changed recently, and this isn't related to real estate, this is just related to email, is all of the email service providers have really cracked down on spam. So, which is great, which is fantastic. And it affects us in our industry because they actually look at an entire email server and they grade the server, not the individual. So if we are sending, as Keller Williams, we have to be sending, just imagine the number. It's got to be massive. So we are high on the watch list. And if we've got thousands of agents who are sending thousands of spam, that's going to affect everybody. So the best way to figure out what's value is to have that first conversation. Say, hey, I've got this great tool. I know you've owned your house for 5 years. I can show you on a monthly basis, or actually a bi-weekly basis, if you're curious, what's happening in the market in your specific neighborhood. I know there's a lot of tools out there that will say like your zip code, but this will actually do your neighborhood. Is that something that you would be interested in? Okay, fantastic. Well, this is what it's called, and this is what it'll look like. I'll add you to that right now. Now that's not a spam, like, what is this? I didn't ask for this, but if they into it, if they ask for it, then it's like, oh, thank you. This is incredibly valuable. So, yeah, good questions, good conversation around this. Another thing with SmartPlans is you want the information to be valuable. And there could be a situation where that smart plan for you is no longer communicating what it needs to.
If you had set it back up where we've got interest rates are low, buyers are high, you might not want to revisit what your strategy is.
Yeah, and absolutely, like if it's content like that, timely content.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, and another great example of this is on the Tanya Matthews team, we had a smart plan going, and it was basically reaching out to the new person to try and get them to contact us back. We're like, okay, this is fantastic. They contacted us back. Well, that smart plan still ran in the background. And so it was like, it'd be, I don't remember what the wording of it, but just imagine, hey, this is Mike, I'm in real estate, blah, blah, blah. And then the person reaches back out to me and says, Mike, it's so great, and then I'm having a conversation. And then 2 days later or whatever, it says, hey, this is Mike. Yeah, you haven't contacted me. So they recognize that as a gap that could be filled in smart plans. And so they actually created this remove contact when. So a contact replies to an email from this smart plan, then they're removed from this plan. Or if they're reply to an automated text, same thing. And then if you click both of them, it's or. There's no like they have to do the email and the text, but yeah, so I look at that as value back to me, because then I can stay current in my communication
You don't have to.
and I don't have to remember to pull them out. Exactly. It's a step that I don't have to deal with anymore. So if we selected both of those, then if they respond to an email, if they respond to a text, then they're off of the plan. Maybe there's only like one text in the front, but you still want them to get the email. Then we just do contact replies to an email from this smart plan, because this one only has one text introducing Twilio. And so yeah, you can set that up how you would like to set it up. All right. So getting into this, I saw this and I love this idea. So I'm just going to share it with everybody. So we know that Command sends texts from Twilio. So this is actually a smart plan. And this is, you can add people to another smart plan. So this is adding them to a 36 touch Twilio intro. So I can show you what that is. I think it's just, at this point, it's just one, but I will add to it in the future. So the Twilio intro, because if this is going out to your sphere and they're like, who is this? So this is introducing and saying, hey, John, this is Mike Leonardson with the Tanya Matthews team. Save this number in your phone. It's my business line. I'll send market updates and check in from this number, so you're in the know. I'm like, I love that, because then again, they're looking at it as value. Like, oh, this is how I contact Mike if I have somebody who is interested in buying or selling. Fantastic. Yeah, I'll save that in my phone. Yeah. And they won't say block this number or whatever, spam. Because every text that goes out through Twilio has the unsubscribe option at the bottom, or like stop or whatever it is. Oh yeah. Yeah, I just had two right before this class started. Okay. So that, I love that. That first, like, introduce your Twilio number as part of a smart plan. You know, you could add that as a text before any other things go out. And if you created that as its own smart plan, then anytime that you're starting a new smart plan, you could just say, okay, add them to this smart plan, the Twilio intro text. And that would be a way I'd no longer have to copy and paste that information. Okay, so here's another idea that I think is great. And if you look at this smart plan, all this smart plan is doing is adding people to another smart plan. So on day one, it's adding them to the Twilio. On day two, it's actually sending this email. And then on day three, it's adding them to another one, day four. So you can really compound smart plans. Another way you could do it is you could run through a smart plan all the way through and then get to the end of that. And then you add them to step 2 of the smart plan. You add them to step 3 once they get through. So this right here is a email design that I created, and I just did this actually right before the class started, and it is, oh yeah, you can't preview it, but if I were to send that, so just an idea that I had, and I've heard people talk about this before, is just having a, hey, I want to introduce myself, and have it go out in an email. So you could build a smart plan. I know that Bomb,
But it'd be nice to have it in a smart plan, like BombBomb, you have a separate, you know, it's one of those things, you've got 17 things you're using, like exterior sites.
yeah,
Whereas this would be all in.
yeah. So this, you could have it as like, you could have it as an intro on like your 8x8 new contact introduction, or you meet somebody at an open house, you add this step into it. And it's just, hey, I want to introduce myself and talk a little bit about how I do business. And then, you know, go from there. It could just be 30 seconds, a minute.
And that's nice because you could have one for the open house. Hi, I met you at our open house today. That's a one and done. You just send it every Saturday that you have an open house.
Yeah,
Your other one, that's a intro to new contact.
yeah,
And it's, hey, glad to meet you. My name is, you don't say anything about open house, but you know which bucket to plug in.
yeah, exactly. And you could save 2 different ones and plug that part into a smart plan as part of a larger campaign. Yep. You could even you could even do like one for your sphere, like,
Mhm.
hey, you're getting this email because of who you are to me, and however you want to do that, you know?
'Cause I read it,
Yeah. And I'm in this business. So what you do, let me show you how to do this. So I'll just add another one in. So what you do is you grab this module, bring it over, then you would click the edit button here. Not wanting to because it's, there we go. Then you're gonna paste the YouTube URL. And then put the thumbnail in there. So for me, I'm just going to go find the thumbnail that I downloaded. Click open, hit replace. And then anytime you're working over here in the emails, you have to hit this done. And that's how it populates over. So that's, I mean, if you have those links and you know where that stuff is, you can put this together in a minute. Discard the changes. Okay, so if you don't know about the neighborhood nurture, learn about it because it is money. It is, yeah,
We closed, I can count at least 6 deals we closed from the neighborhood.
nice.
One of them being an expired listing that my husband called, asked for the email.
Uh-huh.
They just got put onto the recurring thing, right? A year and a half later, the guy calls my husband, and my husband like barely did real estate. Like, he
Yeah.
followed me around. So he wasn't super active. He was just my sidekick. This guy calls him and he says, "Hey, Tony." He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, you're my realtor. I've got a house I need to sell."
Top of mind.
Who are you?
Yeah,
But he'd been getting this monthly neighborhood nurture
yeah.
for a year and a half.
And that was enough in his mind to be like, yeah, you're my realtor. You've been doing this for me.
He had his little face on it every month,
Mhm.
face, his house, and pricing, or neighborhood, whatever.
Yeah,
And that's all it took. It was that set it and forget it. And all of a sudden, a year and a half later, something pops up. You're like, I don't even know where this came from. But we could trace it back.
yeah,
The neighborhood nurture was the only reason I wasn't adopting Command at that point,
really.
because Command didn't have it yet.
Yeah,
And we were making money. But
yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, the neighborhood nurture and I don't know about Brivity, but in Command, like, let's say there's a neighborhood they currently live in, and they're like, oh, I also like, what about this neighborhood? What about this? They can subscribe to other neighborhoods as well.
Okay.
And then let's say they've been in their kind of starter home and so that you're sending them on their starter neighborhood. And then all of a sudden you see like the higher end neighborhood show up in there and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a conversation about that. Like, hey, I noticed you added this neighborhood. You're like, oh my gosh, this is where we want to be. Like, okay, great. Let's talk about a plan about how to get you there. Like, what, let's have a meeting about that rather than leaving it in that ethereal
Yeah.
realm. Let's
Well,
plan how to get there. Yeah. And then, you've got that personalized conversation around like, oh, I saw you added this neighborhood in Tennessee that looks like it's a lot of investment cabins and stuff. Like, well, are you guys curious in investing? I'd love to connect you with a realtor in Tennessee. Like, there's so many different things, and with the Keller Williams listing system and your website and how everything's integrated, they can go search for properties wherever, and you can help them with referrals. So, all right, and then I've got adding them to a quarterly call plan. That one's pretty straightforward. And then adding them to a smart plan. This is a monthly email newsletter. So I was thinking about that, and the thing about a smart plan, the thing about doing it this way is I have a lot of people ask me, like, how do I do a newsletter smart plan? Like, well, a smart plan is pre-created content that then you're just spreading out over a time period, basically. So adding content to that is going to be a little bit difficult
Cause you'd have to do
or
some
impossible.
generic
Yeah.
newsletter. You could do
Yeah.
that for 12 months, but then there's no value.
So with this could trigger me to a reminder, hey, it's time to put the newsletter together for next month. Hey, this person is interested in the newsletter. You know, there's all kinds of different things you can do there. And then if I
In my
go,
question, would
yeah,
it be just as easy to send out newsletters as a campaign?
it's much easier. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Usually, yeah, when people talk about newsletters, I'm like, it's not a smart plan, it's a campaign. But people bring it up all the time with smart plans. So
Mhm.
I just have this created task, create the newsletter. And this plan initially had like a newsletter that was part of it. I don't know exactly how they made that work, but they had it in there. Okay, so that putting all of those pieces together, and then if you added them to the birthday and the anniversary, which you could add to that smart plan as well, and just say, okay, this person is on my sphere, well, then I want them on all of it. So yeah, that would be your 36 touches. All of those smart plans combined, and rather than saying, okay, I want them on this one and this one and this one, and you can say, okay, this is my sphere outreach program or whatever it is, and say one and done. Like you could even add the tag sphere to that. And then from this point forward, anytime you added the tag sphere, it would start that smart plan. So yeah, that's combining smart plans to save time and effort. Here's another one that I found. I think, yeah. Okay. So this is my 201 Plus Club easy button. I ran into this smart plan. I thought this is brilliant. And it starts from the mindset of I want to provide value. So it starts here, scrub contact. Call to connect, be mindful about getting any of the missing details needed to get the contact score to 100%. So in that conversation, I can say, do you have a property that you would like to know the value of currently? Or is there anywhere else that you'd like to move? Like just having that value, that motivation conversation that, through the Ford conversation, you may say like, oh, you're about to be an empty nester. Have you thought about downsizing your property? And, and just from that relationship point, meeting them there to provide them value. I think when I started working with smart plans, I was like, oh, this is great. Like I can just shoot this out to everybody in my database and then like kind of set it and forget it and hope somebody contacts me back. But I think that's the wrong way to think about them. I think the how I've changed my thought on it is, like I was saying before, that you're meeting them in that relationship, building that relationship with the value that they're asking for. So you can build an entire smart plan around that piece of value. So you could have, and I actually do have one. Just have to find it. Yeah, I've got 49 in here to answer your question, but I don't use all of them. My buyer education. So this is a set of emails that go out that when I have a brand new buyer, I would say, hey, I've actually got an email kind of newsletter-y thing that I can send you that would walk you through the steps of buying a home. Is that something that you would find valuable? And then, you know, putting them on this smart plan,
And then they get it in little chunks too.
they get it in chunks instead of here's a novel. So yeah, it walks them through everything. You might want to space it out more. You could change when, like how long in between. Maybe they're like, okay, we need to save up over the next year for a down payment. Okay, no worries. And then you just kind of have one that's more spaced out and do it that way. Long-term buyer. Yep. Okay. So that's a lot of the ideas behind combining. There's some really unique smart plans out there. Check out the library. Anything that you pull in from the library, though, just go through it with a fine-tooth comb and make sure, because not everybody formats them correctly. So you want to make sure that your contact information is going out to people, not, hey, this is, yeah, this is John from Arizona. Like, what? So yeah, it's a fantastic resource. Just go through it with a fine-tooth comb when you do that. All right. So I'm going to move on a little bit to analytics, checking and seeing the usefulness of your smart plans. So I am in the reports applet, and I'm going to go to emails. And then I can actually go here and say, I don't want to see all applets. I just want to see smart plans. So then I can see, let's say I want to see all of them for last month, or January, or basically looking at all of the, like, am I getting a lot of people unsubscribing? Do I need to change my messaging around this? I remember when I initially started using smart plans, my aunt unsubscribed, and I was like, okay, I did not give enough information up front. This is
And
this is
if you had 3 links clicked and you viewed details, is it going to tell you which of the links got clicked?
it's gonna tell you no, but it will tell you who. That's a unique click. So it looks like, yeah, I mean, this is a new buyer. Yeah, so this is a new buyer that I'm working with, and they're on a bi-weekly neighborhood nurture for a neighborhood that they would like to move into. So they've clicked on it 3 times. So this is related to the emails. So the email went out, the bi-weekly neighborhood nurture went out, and I know that I've gotten 3 clicks. And when they do click on that, it does go to my website. So, which we can track that, and I'll show you how next. But you can see how many were opened. So a lot of these are like, this is my my one smart plan that's been going since 2001, and I still have all of these people opening it. There's a couple undelivered, so you know, then I can go back and say, okay, where's that email? I can scrub that and say, okay, this is not a good email. And that helps your smart plans and your communication be more efficient. Because if this number is really high and this number is really high, then
You might as well not.
yeah, and you are like the like Gmail and Yahoo, they'll just start sending your stuff to spam. And then, you know, nobody wants to be like, can you check your spam filter for my stuff? So keeping this low and this low is very important. So that is one of the ways that you can see your, let's see if we can get, I think it's still going to be my data, even though, no, it's the team. So yeah, anyway, all right. You can also not really see well, you can't see the responses and everything, but you can see how many text you're using in your smart plans in Twilio. You can see how many you've got left as well. All right. I'm gonna go now to this may go over some people's heads, or this may be like, oh, I've been looking for this. So let me know. But I like this kind of stuff. So, and it can provide you valuable data. So I'm gonna go into settings and connect settings and the marketing profile. And when I go there and I scroll all the way down, there's this right here, Google Analytics tracking ID. What is that? All right, let me show you what that is. Just have to find where I had it open. Oh, I remember. It's in Safari. Okay, so this is something called Google Analytics. And I can see in pretty close to real time and decide like, okay, what's been my traffic for this year? What's been my traffic for the last 30 days? Because I've added that ID to that spot in command, I can now, where's the window?
And traffic in command instead of going to analytics.
Well, no, because I still have to go to Google Analytics. But because I've shared that ID, that's how you would then track everything on your website in Google Analytics. So if I go back over here, let me just show you the kind of information you can see in Google Analytics. So 10 different users in the last 30 days have clicked somewhere on my website. I can see where they're clicking on my website based on the title of the page. I can see, are they coming in direct? Let's see here. I go to reports. So here's report. So users by the day, I can see where they're clicking from in the world. If they are a direct connect or they're an organic search. Um, so, yep.
Use this gosh for a decade ago on my business.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's kids. And Google Analytics all the time.
yeah,
I loved it.
yeah. So you may actually know, you may be able to teach the rest of this.
But I remember keyword searches, I'd write a blog post or something and I'd see if that tell if anybody got it for that.
So is it real time, the data on there?
Probably.
Okay,
And
let's,
this will have to be-
yeah, let's do an experiment. It says real time right here. Go to mikeleonardson.kw.com on your browser or some kind of device.
Oh,
And it's MIKELENARTSON.kw.com. I don't know how this says it's real time, so let's see if
want me to click on your house?
just click around on whatever you want. And let's see. Okay. Here we got it's a first time visitor with a page view, session start. Let's find your dream home. So that's the search page. So here's somebody. So you're searching currently 1001 Araminta Street, Winter Garden. Did you click on that one? Yep.
And I just went to your blog.
Okay. So here we go. Now we've got 2 users in the last 30 minutes.
Nice. It is real time.
Yeah. So you can see with this, and people like you're searching on my KW website, but I'm able to see where you're coming from, what you're clicking on. And like you said, there's a lot of data there that's really could be really useful for your business if you're looking at it.
You may not find your website. If you're writing a blog post about something that's current,
Mhm.
and then you put that blog post onto your social media, and people click back through to your blog post, it's gonna show up there, and you're like, whoa, 75 people just clicked on that, but they never click on anything else I post.
Yeah.
It's valuable to them.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can see what's being interacted with the most, and then, okay, how could then I maybe from that blog post direct them somewhere else in my website so that they start searching for homes on my website rather than going to realtor.com or Zillow or, one of those other. So yeah, it's interesting that one says Orlando.
50% of this for mobile. 50% for desktop.
Yeah. So then if you have the majority of your people searching on mobile, well, then when you're putting together, maybe you're adding a page to your site, you like, I want to make sure that this is maybe more bullet points rather than paragraphs so that it's more mobile friendly. Oh my gosh, why do I have so many people searching my website in this city that's nowhere close to here? Like, do I need to connect with an agent up there because I've got a lot of traffic from there? I mean, there's a reason that, big data is the new currency. And so you can get in on some of that data and say, "Oh, okay, how can I then use this to my advantage?" But yeah, and you can see it in real time, which is just
I don't think.
wild.
you
Probably not.
just have, like, your monthly Google.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. So I am going to open it up for questions. Those are the main things that I wanted to talk about today, as it relates to SmartPlans. But if anybody has any questions on anything we'll start with SmartPlans first, anything having to do with SmartPlans, and then if nobody has any questions there, then we'll just do an Ask Me Anything. No questions? Okay. Valerie, Lenny, Yolanda.
I will have after I dig into it more, I'm
Got
sure.
it.
But yeah,
Okay.
this is really, really helpful, Mike. Today was an excellent, just for feedback, the content and everything, and the insights were really good. Thanks.
You're welcome. Let other people know.
I tried to. So
So
the other thing that I haven't jumped back onto, but on my list is how to set up the tags. I think we talked about this before and it can be a big, long discussion, but just how to decide what kind of tags are important. And I think that's just a matter of digging in there. And
yeah,
again, it probably comes back to what is your source of what is your not strategy, but focus on who you're going to try to go after and what you're going to do with them and that kind of thing.
yeah. I would say a few tag categories that would be really useful would be like, how far, well, are they, okay. So are they somebody that I need to be in front of right now? Are they like hot, or are they medium? Are they cold that I need to nurture them? And picking a color for each of those. Then another one that's going to be really useful is, where did the lead come from? The lead source. And so like maybe that's purple for you. And then orange is, where are they from? Like maybe there's a category of people, like maybe the orange is how do I know this person? What group of people are they from? Are they from my neighborhood? Are they from, I don't know. The thing about tags, and the thing about a lot of how they've done command, is they've made it so open-ended that people are like, okay, what's the method? And it's like, well, you get to create your own method. And some people are like, that's too much.
So maybe a way to think about it is, what do you use tags for?
Yeah.
To sort.
And I would think that you would use them for obviously SmartPlans, but and then like if you're using the DTD2,
Mhm.
that one, and in my case, so I have land and I have residential, and then occasionally I have some international people.
Yeah.
So kind of like the sectors of your business.
Yeah.
You can also use tags, so I not only use tags for the stuff for your follow-up, but there are also times when I'd be calling through our sphere for an event.
Mhm.
And let's say it's a pumpkin pie event and people want apple and pumpkin. It was easy for me to set up an apple 2024 and a pumpkin 2024, right?
Got it, yeah.
So then that goes into the tags. Well, that year I get to sort how many apple pies do I get, how many pumpkin pies. Then next year I get to call them and say, hey, you wanted pumpkin pie last year. What do you want this year?
Yeah, there you go.
And so it kind of adds that note without you really having to do too much. And as long as you don't get too many tags and get overwhelmed, but I mean, you can get creative with your tags depending on what you want to use them for.
Yeah, and really, I mean, if you've got hanging file folders, you've got a tag on the top of it, but you can only tag one category in that kind of a system, because that paper goes there. But the fantastic thing about this is like, well, how do you want to find that information? Well, they could be a specific neighborhood
Yeah.
and a buyer and an investor and like,
Yeah, you
and
got pumpkin pie.
and they got a pumpkin pie. And so it's kind of like,
And all files all in one place.
yeah. So you've got the 8 colors here. I think how I've done it is these are things that I want to really stand out to me, like an appointment. Well, let's see, what have I done? Let's look through my tags and see if my system makes any sense. Purple is where they came from. So BizConnect Import, I knew that I scanned their business card. They're from church, Facebook, family friend. So they, yeah. So the purple for me was that. The blue, when I looked at my database, I was like, I've got people from all over the country. So I want to be able to see at a glance and maybe even narrow it down and say, okay, how many people do I have in Colorado? How many people do I have in Arizona? How many people do I have? So I can very quickly, through a filter, just filter by that tag. And then, okay, I got 9 in Colorado. Oh, and they're all actually in this city. So I'm going to connect with an agent there just in case they need anything. Then I have there was some DTD2 in there. KWEP3, that is a Keller Williams Lead Partners 3 neighborhood, not neighborhood, agent. Land, like green was like, what are they interested in? Different farming areas have a different color. So that's the thing about tag systems is depends on who you talk to. You will find a different system because it's like Keller Williams gave everybody a box of crayons with no lines, with no picture, and say, what do you want to draw? And yeah.
Some people want to use 4 sticky notes and they have to be in order. And there's others of us that are like, I want sticky notes everywhere.
I want
And it can
sticky note for
accommodate both.
everything. Yeah. And it can, yeah, absolutely. So systems around tags, whatever system works for you and whatever makes sense in your mind, that's the system you should use. I think the team probably has a better tagging system than I did. Yeah, how did we get on that?
Well, and I think, Mike, without getting into it today, it's pretty easy to group action or whatever they call that, bulk action with tags, right? So if you change your mind on how you want the tag, you can easily change from one thing to the
Yep.
other.
So if I select a number of people and they're all going, I can add a tag or a number of tags to these specific contacts that I selected.
Okay, easy peasy.
Another, I would say another way to do that, and this is how you can integrate SmartPlans as well. So, you know, we talked about having like a sphere outreach smart plan. So when I am doing my lead generation and I'm like, oh, Elise, yeah, she is sphere. So I want to make sure to add her to my that smart plan. And that's just a part of my lead generation. Because with that click, I'm now set up for follow-up for the long haul. And then I think a lot of people get inundated with the size of the database and they're like, oh, I have to do all of the tags and smart plans and everything all at once. It's like, no, just you eat an elephant one bite at a time. So on this day, it's like, oh, I got to make 20 phone calls. Okay, what smart plans are all these people on? What is value to them? And then just, yeah, exactly. I've got an event coming up. Who's been interested in my events in the past? You know, you got to tag around events in the past. Like, hey, I got another event coming up. You know, there's so many different ways that you can approach it because it is a sandbox. It is like, okay, build your business inside of this massive business. And they've allowed room for all of that, which I appreciate. And some people are like, no, give me, how should I do it? Like,
Nurture.
uh-huh.
Pull neighborhoods from other places that are not in our MLS.
Yes.
That was not available. Well, it's been 2 years. But
Yeah.
that was not available.
So because of the KWLS,
Oh, that's how.
that's where it pulls from.
Okay.
So yeah,
Hey.
I was playing with my app one time and I was like, I wonder what countries I can search. And I was looking at like multi-million-dollar cliffside properties in Italy. It's like, this is awesome. Yeah, so that's one thing that Keller Williams has that nobody else has, because Gary had the foresight 25 years ago or whatever to start work on that. So
Yay, I'm excited to get to my database.
yeah. Any other questions?
I think I'm good, Mike. Thank you.
Okay.
So is today's Jen's last day? Is it today, tomorrow?
Yeah, it actually it ended up being yesterday. So she's not
Oh,
here today. Yeah.
darn it, darn it. Do
Yeah.
you have her personal contact? I think I might have her cell phone, but
I
if
do.
you would please tell her, if you talk to her, please tell her that we miss her and I'd love to hear from her.
Okay, I will do that. And then we are at time, so I'm gonna stop sharing, stop recording. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Everybody have a great day.